Okay. Looks like we're online. All right. So, what do we have here for today's project? I have the idea of using the these these RF light diffuser things to side light some acrylic signage. Right. Use the exact same um, handles and uh, specs for everything, but then through put two of these side by side, and then have acrylic signage in between, and have that acrylic signage be edge lit. I came through a couple of different ideas around that, and mainly I want to reuse as much of the kind of the existing gear as possible and handle this mechanically. And that means that, right, the LED is here. It's going to shoot out that way. The diffuser, of course, diffuses light, but I really want this to be edge lit, which means I want, right, if there's a sign, a piece of acrylic coming here, I need all of the light to be shining in this direction, and then on in the opposite direction from the matching stick. The net of that is I took one of the clear shining tubes and I coated it. If you look inside, it looks a little bit shiny. If I take a flashlight here and shine, you'll see that what I did was I put a couple of coats of um, mirror paint in there. Krylon, a couple of companies sell this mirror paint. So I put a couple of coats of mirror paint and then matte black on top. I didn't do a super good job of this, but essentially creating a mirror on the inside that'll hopefully redirect all the light out towards um, towards towards the opening here. Right? And that opening needs to be precise enough to put a piece of acrylic in. Now I have some pre-cut acrylic from Glowforge. Right, that's exactly a 1/4 inch thick, and I need to cut a slot in that's just the right size to slot in that acrylic sheet. And there's a solution for that that I kind of came up with, kind of hinted at by this green thing. If I switch over to the computer for a moment, um, yes, this is not the first time I have ever used the Wondercutter, uh, but I think this is my first time doing something so ambitious. So what I modeled up here in Fusion 360 is, if you imagine this cylinder here is the tube, and then what I want is I want to cut a slot into it that's exactly a 1/4 inch wide, and I think 6, whatever the inches are, whatever the length is. It's not 6 inches um, of the uh, of the uh, of the Glowforge acrylic that I have, and I want to cut a very precise slot into that. Right, because you imagine what I want net is, right, two of these with the piece of acrylic sticking way out. And the way that I will do that is I modeled kind of this little bit of the acrylic that's sticking out, and then did a body intersection to create a cut guide. And so you'll see that there's a slight angle in this, and so in theory I should be able to cut this shape, align this pretty precisely. And I haven't done this before, so we will see how it goes. Okay. Match electronics view. So this is then I 3D printed this on the resin printer on the bean, and because it has curvature, its interesting property is that it's kind of self-centering. So I don't really need to align it, since this thing has the same curvature as as the the tube. It's going to be self-centering right here, and it's going to be um, uh, perpendicular or parallel rather to the axis of the tube, and then this part here, right, it's going to be um, uh, with curvature is going to match. Right? It'll be kind of like the top end will be guaranteed to be tangent. Um, and then I want the two to be even, so I'll just use a clamp here as a guide. And so I'll take this. Let's see here. first I got to find the part of the tube that I want to cut. And it doesn't really matter, I suppose. All right, so okay. Let's see. Line this on top here, and then clamp it down. Oops. Knock it out of position. No. All right. Let's clamp this guy down. That's pretty firm. Of course, I don't want to clamp it so hard that it'll deform the tube. That would be bad. Oops, wrong direction. Okay. Okay, so this will cut. So then this 3D printed piece, I think, is, whoops, not tight enough. It's going to be the cut guide. Okay. So that should be it. And then let's turn this guy on and show you what this thing does. The Wondercutter. Ultrasonic knife. So there's like an X-Acto blade at the end of this, a button. You push the button and the blade begins to get some ultrasonic, right? So what's the difference? So here's a previous version of the cut guide at 1/8 of an inch, which was the wrong thickness because I don't have any 1/8 inch acrylic. And so you'll see that if I'm gonna cut this thing right with just the blade, which you can't see very clearly, right? It'll take a lot of strokes. Right? If I hold down the ultrasonics, then see that it's pretty easy for me to cut into this. So cuts with 3D printing resin. Let's see if it cuts this. It cuts this thing. Yes, be careful I don't cut the guide. Yeah. What do I want to do first before I cut? Let's see. Let's make sure that I'm pushing hard enough that I don't fall off the guide. I think this is right. Okay. All right. Let's start in the middle here where I don't have to worry about what my strategy is for avoiding the clamps. I do have a strategy. Yes, the strategy for avoiding the clamps is why I have two. So I can take one off. But let's start in the middle here and see if I can even cut through this material on all of the spray paint. Oh, whoa. That's crazy effective. It cuts through this tube way better than it cuts through that 3D printing resin. I got to actually take a pretty fast stroke. I got to actually move fast. Otherwise, I generate a whole bunch of smoke. Zoom in. Yeah, sadly, this is Action Cam and has no zoom. I have a second camera, but the setup for doing two cameras is a little too hard. Um, uh, the best I can do is just get closer. I can move the soldering iron. Oh. That is crazy fast. It's like I want to let's take a practice cut first. I want to do this, okay, and then ah. I get stuck if I cut too deeply. All right, let's see if this works. The plan is I can take that end off, and then it's easy to fall in. Um, Sounds so satisfying. Yeah, it sounds better, I think, over the microphone because this thing is ultrasonic. It's actually pretty high pitched. Um, uh, let's see. Okay. What kind of plastic is this? The thickness of this tube? I don't know. Maybe half a millimeter ish. And the mystery is that I actually am not sure. I suspect it's PET, but I actually don't know what kind of plastic it is. I've never decided to actually, carve a sample and do a burn test or something on it. Okay. Let's see here. So conceptually, I guess the most similar thing, if you've this seems like, is that plaque removing pick that dentists have, um, that that they use to scrape plaque off your teeth. I think that's pretty similar to this, and for the same reason, for the same reason why the tip is a little bit warm, is why when they're scraping your teeth with the with the hook, and they're constantly jetting water at you. What's interesting is that it's doesn't generate a lot of heat if I just run it in the air. The heat really only gets generated when I am running it and I touch it against something. What am I doing here? I want to. All right. Then let's see. This thing's going to get floppy. No, avoid it getting floppy by not cutting the short axes. All right, I think that's the plan. Whoops. Yeah, lighter is better, more precise. lighter and faster strokes. Of course, I've never had the steadiest of hands. So let's see. Oh, got stuck in a. All right, let's reposition. Oh. Weird design flaw of this. There's a hole, but if I put it in, it pushes this button and runs it if it's inside there. Don't know why that is. All right, let's put this on. Let's take this end off. What sign is it for? No particular sign. I have a laser cutter, so I I have a bunch of these sheets of acrylic. So it's signs in general, not not a particular sign. Oh, ah, ooh, that was high pitched. On the Glowforge with a jig. I don't know. I'm not confident. I've used a rotary table before on a reel on an epilogue laser cutter, and I am skeptical of my ability to cut round stuff on the Glowforge. Precisely because of the curvature. Maybe one day they'll make a rotary tool. Rotary tools for laser cutters are pretty cool. Um, no, this actually is working pretty well. Um, the slow rate of progress is user error. Um, or maybe it was easier to cut that side. My blade is getting gunked up. There is a little gunk on it. Let's see. Right, that was a pretty good cut. A little overcut. Whoops, that definitely cut the cut guide that time. Hmm. Maybe I was a little bit too timid. Maybe I was a little bit too afraid of going too deep. Oh, okay. That cut was definitely all the way through. Or maybe now that there's a groove, it's easier. Not sure. I think I can duplicate that on this side also. Whoops. All right. That's definitely most of the way through. Most, if not all the way through. Uh, what's my next move here? This side is. I think I'm all the way through on this side. I'm all the way through on this side except for the part that's obscured by the clamp. And then there are the ends. All right. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to score the short axis and then take the clamp off. Whoops. Not following the guide there. Okay. Some paint stuck to this. It doesn't look like I cut up the guide too badly. All right. Now I think I can freehand the remainder. And yes, actually, there is a right amount of force. Oh. This end. What am I not? What do I do? Weld this section together? Oh no. I slipped out of the groove. Aww. This cut, although being rough, is actually pretty straight, except for this part here where I freehanded and fell out of the groove. Ah, okay. Yes. This end is pretty good. Okay, there's a little overcut here. This end's got a little bit of slippage. Um, Probably need to sand this. Oh, let me first go find a test piece of acrylic, see if I at all got close. Okay, it's about wide enough. Melted plastic ends up being a little short. Did I make this the wrong length? Oh, the guide is a little short. The guide's like a millimeter too short. No big deal, but weird. All right. Someone with better freehand skills, this thing would be pretty useful. I mean, pretty much anything that you have the freehand skill to cut on paper, you could probably do on plastic. I just don't have any. I'm just not good at cutting freehand. So, let's see. Okay. All right. So then if I had two of these, and then I had like the flashlight things at the bottom, that should. Can I even test this way? Does it light? All right. These are frosted. Oh, I'm gonna have to edge. I'm gonna have to polish these edges. All right. So this isn't gonna work right now because the. Okay. Um, hmm. Try to light and see. Yeah, these edges here are not polished, so no light. It's not gonna act much as a light pipe. You can see a little bit of glow here, but it's not gonna act as a light pipe until I flame polish these edges. Uh, this is stronger than I expect. I was a little bit worried that after being cut, this wouldn't be strong enough to support the weight of the acrylic sign board. But actually, it should be fine because kind of like friction welding, this cut edge here is thicker than the material, so that should have enough support. Um, and of course, since it's not a tube anymore, it's a little bit more prone to getting deformed, but it's not too bad actually. Um, all right. Well, somehow I had the idea that it was going to be a little bit harder, um, but yeah, not that hard. Just need some practice. Why am I a millimeter short? $105. So I guess it's longer than 5 inches. Yeah, it's 5.17 inches long. I don't think I'm going to bother printing another cut guide, but I might as well fix this. Yeah, so this guy is 5.17 inches. No, that would be too big. That doesn't make any sense. It wasn't 4 millimeters. Okay. All right, that's it for this adventure. I'm going to need to cut another one. Cut the other one. I guess I'll cut the other one now. Why not? This is the second tube I spray painted. And I did a much better job on the second painting. think the best technique was making one relatively deep stroke. I think, well, let's see. All right. Here goes. Whoops, slipped out. All right. This thing is interfering now. Okay, that was a pretty clean cut. Verdict is out until this is totally done, but uh, I have a good feeling about that. All right. Continue one continuous stroke. Stop before I even get close to the clamp. Whoops. Okay, that's it. And switch it up. And then can't precisely control the end, but I can control the start. All right, new technique. Place. That's it. it's still stuck on corners. Okay, so the technique of placing the blade first, then pushing the button, that really works to keep from preventing mistakes like this. Because then you really don't cut if the ultrasonic's not on, so you can really align the blade, then cut. Okay. All right, so this part here is a little messed up, but a lot cleaner. Okay. With enough practice, I could probably make this cut almost perfect. I think it's still too short. Yes. Place, then press. Place, then press. Place, then press. Oh, all right. Now, if I make more tubes, I can probably even get better at this. But that involves more spray painting, and it's raining outside. Yeah, I guess even on camera, it's clear the second one, where I try to use as few strokes as possible. This one's clean enough. Well, I mean, it could be clean with more practice, that I wouldn't need to finish the cut edge. All right, and then And then in theory, like this. So this is a pretty small sign. All right, let me, I'm done cutting. Let's not have any hot knife accidents. All right. Cutting went actually faster than I thought it would. Oh, they're in here. Why is this one completely disassembled? Okay, so the threads are not aligned because I cut. I thought of that. No, well, it's not important. the the place where I slot this, of course, is aligned to the thread, and so that determines whether or not these two handles will be aligned to each other, which of course they are. They're not. They're facing. Right, so this is in theory. All right, let's. Oh well, whatever. Whatever. Oh yes, I actually need to pick this. Need to cut 180 degrees facing in order for the when fully threaded they align, right, instead of having these guys kind of be in random positioning. uh, that's not terrible. Not terrible given the edges aren't polished, there's no sign. Turn off some of the ambient light. And I haven't etched anything into it. The light, I was afraid that the seams would have a lot of light leakage and I have to seal them, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Okay. light switch. This might even be visible with ambient indoor light. And obviously I'm going to have to fix that because I can't have the cords dangling off the bottom here, otherwise it won't stand up, right? Okay. Yeah, so that overcut there, that's a point of weakness. No, this cut is so bad compared to this cut. And yes, and the freehand correction. Anyway, I guess just practice. Just need more practice. Well, that's it. Decent progress today. Got more done than I thought. All right. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.